Hey everyone, it's Kristen from Wild Birds Unlimited of Barrie and Newmarket here. And I wanted to talk about making a suet treat at home for your backyard birds. So I know a lot of people ask us about, what's safe to offer the birds, how can they make a treat at home? And it's a great question because it's a lot of fun. It's a fun little activity. You can experiment with different ingredients and see what your birds like. And of course, it's a great way to get every member of the household involved. So if you have kids, this is a great way to get them involved with your backyard birds and get them interested in nature. So in terms of what we're looking to do with making a treat for the birds, a suet treat for the birds, I'm definitely going to take inspiration from our Wild Birds Unlimited Super Suet because this is the best product available for the birds. It has high quality ingredients, it's got a ton of fat and protein, and it has ingredients like rendered beef suet, tree nuts, and dried mealworms. So those are some of the things that I'm going to be looking to add into suet that I make at home as well. So let's talk about some of the ingredients that you're going to need to make a suet treat for the birds. So first of all, you want to get the fat. And so specifically what we're talking about is when we're talking about fat for a backyard treat for the birds, we're talking about beef tallow. Okay, that's another word for beef fat. And specifically, we're talking about suet. So suet is from the fat around a cow's kidney, and that has a very specific texture and makeup, and that is what the birds are looking for. So you can find suet at a specialty butcher shop, or you can also get it from Wild Birds Unlimited. We carry Simply Suet, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's Simply Suet. So either way, that's going to be the main ingredient in your treat. I would strongly recommend against using lard or bacon grease. So lard comes from pork, and bacon grease I know is something that we have that's really accessible, but it's not so good for your birds. That's really high in salt and nitrates and just not the type of fat that you want to be offering. So again, stick to beef suet. And if possible, rendered beef suet. So if you go out and purchase suet from a butcher, you might want to boil it down a little bit. That's called rendering, and that helps to get rid of any mold spores or other things that could be harmful in the suet. So boiling is always the first step. So if you went with our Wild Birds Unlimited Simply Suet, the benefit is it's already been rendered for you, so you just have to melt it down. The next thing you're probably going to want to add is some kind of nut butter. So either a peanut butter or an almond butter, something of that nature that's all natural without any added sugar. So mix that in with your melted suet, and then you can add in some of the other some of the harder ingredients. So when you're looking for the harder ingredients, I would suggest offering things like peanuts or tree nuts. And chopped peanuts can be really good because you get little pieces and you can kind of disperse it in your suet really nicely. Or you could get your favorite seed blend. So this is Choice Plus, and it has a ton of nuts and tree nuts like pecans and almonds and walnuts in it. And so that's a perfect thing to add into your suet. It also has pieces of fruit as well. So fruit is another ingredient that you can add. Some of our birds really appreciate fruit. And so you want to be looking for things like dried cranberries or dried raisins and cut those up and put them in your melted suet pot that you're making. Another ingredient you may want to consider is dried mealworms. So this is going to go over really well with some of those woodpeckers and your chickadees and your nuthatches who are going to be your primary visitors at your suet. So this is an awesome ingredient to add, lots of protein in there, and a treat for them to get some bugs when they visit your suet. So it's just as simple as that. Basically, you mix it all together really thoroughly, and then you want to put it into some kind of a mold. So what I would suggest doing is if you get the Wild Birds Unlimited Simply Suet, it actually has a plastic container that it comes with. So what you could do is when you're done mixing things up, you can pour it into the plastic container to harden, and then you'll already have a perfect suet mold, and you can just pop it into your suet feeder that accommodates square cakes. So that's nice and easy. That's a great way to finish off the process and to get it to go in your existing feeder. Otherwise, you're going to have to come up with some way to mold it, let it cool, and then put it out for your birds. Now, I also wanted to talk about a couple of things to consider while you're making your suet. So I get asked a lot about a vegetable shortening. So things like Crisco and other types of vegetable shortening. And what I would say is vegetable shortening is something that you could put out for your birds, but I wouldn't be offering it all the time. So those types of products do have hydrogenated oil in them, so that's something to consider. So it would be something that you could offer occasionally, but it should not be offered consistently to your birds. Also, you want to avoid any of the filler seeds that your woodpeckers, chickadees, and nuthatches really don't care for. So things like cracked corn, millet, grains, oats, things like that. They're not really appealing to your birds. They're actually going to be more appealing to things like squirrels and some of the birds that you may not want hanging around your suet, like house sparrows, for example. So by avoiding some of those fillers, you can ensure that you're giving the best nutrition to your backyard birds that are interested in suet, and trying to keep the suet just for the animals that you want to attract. Also, I would strongly recommend against putting any kind of hot pepper substance in your homemade suet. So we do offer hot pepper suet products at Wild Birds Unlimited. It's something that has been very popular among bird lovers in the last couple of years, but it does have to be handled with care, and we do it in a special facility where it's carefully measured out for the birds. So this is something that's very difficult if we don't have the proper experience or recipe, for example, and something that I would really recommend against if you're making your own product. Just stick to the simple, plain old suet with lots of yummies in it, and avoid the hot pepper. Alrighty, so there's some tips for making your suet at home. Give it a try. Hopefully you can experiment a little bit and see if your birds like maybe a nut and berry type of suet better, or do they really go out for the mealworm suet. You can make a couple different options, hang it out in different places, and see what your birds prefer. Well, that's it. Enjoy, have fun, and hey, let us know what happens if you make your suet at home. Bye everybody, take care, see you again soon.